Well, are NFL teams paying some of their star players too much money? The league is now turning to artificial intelligence to help figure that out. Pro Football Focus is an analytics company majority owned by former Cincinnati Bengals player and NFL broadcaster Cris Collinsworth. They're testing out a new system using AI in order to advise the NFL on players' salaries for all of the 32 National Football League teams. Early results are showing that some teams are actually overpaying star running backs and other players by millions of dollars. Cris Collinsworth joins us now in a Fox Business exclusive. Cris, great to see you. Thank you for being here. So how does it work?
Well, basically, we do the work for all the National Football League teams and 30 or 62 college teams as well. And effectively, what we do is we break down every player on every play in every game. So we have this treasure trove of data that we work with. And then we have 4 data scientists that work here, along with 500 people that are doing various things within the football world. So within data, we have more than we can possibly know what to do with, right? So we have specific alleys that we go down and we try and discover things that sort of fall under the category of who knew. You know, who knew that running backs aren't as valuable as cornerbacks in the National Football League? So positional values, how you pay them. We now we team with AWS right now as our partner, and we're taking all this data and we're throwing it into these massive computer systems, and it's starting to come out with breakdowns on which positions are the most valuable, how much should they be paid, how much should you pay the quarterback. This year, for the first time, we're seeing 16% of the salary cap going to quarterbacks for the first time. So a lot of different things going into this.
Cris, Gary Kaltbaum here. How are the agents looking at this or taking this? Have you been getting a lot of phone calls from them? And are you going to be doing straight business through them also for them to get a better idea of what they can negotiate with?
Agents are some of our best friends and worst enemies. We have, no matter what the negotiation is, you've got the teams that take all the positive attributes that we assign to the players, and you have the agents, you know, who will take the other side of that equation. So what we see are a lot of massive debates with our data. And sometimes people are friendly about that, right, depending on which side of this thing you're on. But I'm not sure that there's any contract negotiations going on currently that don't involve Pro Football Focus and exactly what our data means to that particular player.
So the teams are actually using your data now in ascribing salaries to their players, and what does the union have to say about this?
Well, no. I mean, let's make it clear. We've got contracts with all 32 NFL teams, and every one of those teams use the data in various ways. So now what we're trying to do with this next step with AWS is basically just take this thing on to the next level and say, okay, we know what the evaluation of the player was based on all this data. Now, what is the valuation of that player?
How to translate it into dollars. Yeah.
Correct. And that's the reason you need big computing power and you need partners in this thing. I mean, we have 500 employees, but this is a full-time gig now trying to say, all right, we have a $175 million salary cap. What of that should go to the quarterback? What of that should go to the left tackle or the pass rusher? And that's what we're doing.
Cris, it's Christina Partsinevelos here. Some argue that some big athletes, and I'm switching out of football, LeBron James as well as Cristiano Ronaldo, aren't actually paid enough because of their media value. So you've listed all the data looking at how the players play, but what about the media value, their digital impact, their social impact?
Yeah, I think all that's a factor, but I don't think that's what we're going to be doing. We're trying to do the very simple process of, as a football player, and their production. What have they done on the football field, and what are they worth on the football field? If you want to get into their social media value and selling tickets, I think that's a subjective thing for the team itself.
Yeah, but Cris, and it's Jonathan Honig, thank you for being with us. To Christina's point, isn't that ultimately a big, it's an investment for a team to make? They pay these people a lot of money. And aren't things like the leadership that they might bring to other players on the team or the merchandise sales that they will inspire, doesn't that ultimately play a lot into whether that money is a good investment or not?
Yeah, no question about it. And we don't deny any of that at all. I think what we're trying to do is simply stay on the football side of that equation. LeBron James is going to sell a lot of tickets that other people wouldn't be able to sell, in the same way that Aaron Rodgers, who's now at 16% of the salary cap, Russell Wilson, 16% of the salary cap. We've never seen a team win a Super Bowl with a quarterback over 13% of the salary cap. So those are some of the numbers that we'll be looking at as far as trying to figure out exactly how they make money off of that player in other ways. That's up to them.
Cris, I'm wondering if coaches could begin to use the same system that you have in order to call plays from the sideline. You know, you look at see what a particular player does given a certain condition and weather and the certain
data.
Yeah, certain data. I mean, is it conceivable? And some people worry about it all becoming too computerized, that coaches could use this data from the sidelines to call in plays.
They're actually doing that, and decision-making is a huge part of this, is that we now know that, for the most part, NFL coaches have been too conservative over the course of their careers. Doug Peterson in Philadelphia won a Super Bowl with taking a lot of chances in that season. You think back to the Philly, the special, Philly special on the goal line, going for it on 4th and 1 in that Super Bowl. And so, yeah, it's exactly what we're doing. We're calling that system Walsh. But we're breaking down the decisions, whether to punt on 4th down, go for it, kick a field goal, go for the touchdown. Unfortunately, the coaches don't have access to it. You're not allowed to have computing systems on the field. It doesn't mean they can't print out all those situations and have them on a piece of paper up in the booth and study them in that way. But in many cases on television now, I'm going to know what the math says about going for it in certain situations, and the coaches won't have access to that decision.
Wow. What about helping my fantasy football team? Because I had a terrible year last year. I am so I'm beside myself, Cris.
Lucky for you, we have a consumer side of our business, and all this data in a slightly watered-down version
that's big business
can be
too.
yours for either $39.95 or $199.95.
Love it.
Wow.
And we would love to have you into our family, and maybe we'll just sort of slide you one on the good side to see how you do with it.
Man, you know how to get
I'll
a freebie.
allow you.
So you mentioned, Cris, colleges. Obviously, that wouldn't have nothing to do, at least at this point, with paying the players. So that is just, again, sort of an aid to the coaching.
Yeah, no question. And I think positional value, like in the National Football League, you have running backs aren't quite as important as they would be in college football. In college football, we still have some dominant teams that are physically just better than other teams, so running the ball is a little bit more of an important factor there. In the NFL, it's all about the passing game, so it's the quarterbacks, it's the receivers, it's the pass rushers, it's the cornerbacks. Have much more positional value than, say, the running backs do.
Cris Collinsworth, what a pleasure to have you on, Cris. Thank you so much. Fascinating talk, fascinating discussion. Appreciate it. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.